Hey everybody, welcome to Rodder2 Brief, saltwater aquarium care every Saturday. Check out steverodder.com for my tech writing and blogs. I hate the word blog, it's like a teenage chick in her bed writing on my blog, on my diary, on my internet. Check out Rodder2Reef.com. It's a forum on saltwater aquarium care. And also check out our Facebook group. All the links to the stuff that I'm talking about are in the video description down below, along with all the things I use in my saltwater aquarium. If there's something that you like in my channel, there's a link to where you can buy it. Without further ado, let's talk about something that I've been checking out on the internet: ick and marine velvet. Ick and marine velvet are parasites, and there's a lot of controversy online on how to kill the ick parasite and marine velvet. Marine velvet's actually worse, and basically what these bastards are parasites that bore themselves into your fish, and they're flesh-eating parasites. Think about if you were to jump into a lake filled with piranha, do you have a chance? Probably not, no. And a lot of people say that you can cure ick in your fish by feeding them garlic. Bullshit. If somebody throws you a bowl of spaghetti with extra garlic in the pond as you're being eaten alive by piranha, probably not going to help you out much, but you let us know how it helps you, okay? Garlic will help your fish to eat. They enjoy the flavor and it entices them to eat. Just like the bowl of pasta, if you're being eaten alive by piranha and they're chewing you down to the bone, fettuccine is probably not going to help you out. I've got some videos that I found from people who are talking about ick and they don't know what they're talking about. Now maybe it's not their fault, but they really need to do research. And the thing that bothers me about these videos the most is these people, some of them really have a lot of subscribers, and they shouldn't. And they're spreading around bad information. Because when people have this ick problem and their fish are dying, they've been told by their reef store and all these other YouTube channel people that once you have ick in your tank, you'll always have ick in your tank, and that's total bullshit, because my tank's totally ick-free if you do it right. I also have a book on Amazon that I've written like 60 pages that gets in-depth as to why ick starts, how it gets in your tank, and how to eradicate it forever. And also another thing, stress does not bring ick on. If you're stressed out, it's not going to magically make flesh-eating parasites enter your body. I'm sorry. It's not magic. Stress does not bring in a physical manifestation. It doesn't happen. Think, you guys. My job here is to teach you not just about the aquarium hobby, and I'm not going to pass on bullshit. I test this crap out, okay? I'm right. Now, let me play some bullshit videos from people who don't know what they're talking about.
There was no definite answer on how to get rid of ick, okay? So ick is always going to be in your water. So you just got to learn how to live with it.
That's false.
And learning how to live with it is basically what
Learn how to live with it.
As clean as possible.
Ridiculous.
UV sterilizers, good protein skimmers, and a big refugium.
You guys, so as this guy said, once ick is in your tank, it's always in your tank. That's totally wrong. That's totally false.
To add a whole bunch of fish all at once without quarantine. On the other hand,
that's a mistake.
I've done this many times and I've never been stung like I was this time. First, I'll tell you about what happened to me. Then we'll take a look at more about the disease, and then we'll take a look at the precautions so you can protect your aquarium and maybe avoid my mistake. Now, in my case, I suddenly found myself with a little bit of extra cash, which never happens, and I had a brand new tank with established and healthy fish that had been transferred from my 120. I moved up to a 180. Water parameters were stable, and everything in this aquarium was thriving. Corals, the fish, everything. Now, things like shrimp and hermit crabs don't get ick or velvet, but that doesn't mean that the parasite might not come into your aquarium riding in their shells. Anything that's wet, which we'll talk about later.
Now that's a really good point, you guys. Ick is only present in fish and it only eats fish. But it can come into your tank from ick riding on or inside the shells of your invertebrates, okay? Makes sense? need a half jar of filtered water from the fish tank, frozen cubes of mysis or brown shrimp, turkey baster, and garlic, which doesn't work. Add the water in a blender and accomplish nothing. Add a few pieces of garlic so the water tastes better to the fish. Now put the blender on high and blend for a few minutes. Garlic water, Now, put 1 cube of pure clove of garlic and shrimp. The fish will eat the shrimp and the garlic will entice them to eat. That's really great. But when the fish are being eaten alive, all the garlic in the world isn't going to want to make them eat. How does this stop damn parasites from eating your fish? Let's see what they have to say. Add some of the food with garlic to the fish tank. Give it 3 times a day for a few days until the ick disappears. Idiots! Dummies! I'm sorry, this really bothers me. And, you know, thanks for watching. Yeah, thanks for doing nothing. People new to the hobby are going to come across that and think, oh, great, here's another one. And this guy didn't quarantine either.
To the tank, and unfortunately they had broke out and, well, affected the whole tank. So,
that's right. You have to put all new fish.
Questions how you treat them. So it's almost next to impossible to get them out.
No, it's not. You remove all your rock into buckets and you take all the fish out nicely. Now your whole tank is affected.
They're like the ick magnets of the tank, but I think what really helps is having a cleaner wrasse, which
wrong.
Honestly, it's just been going to town.
Wrong. Look, a cleaner wrasse is a fish that eats off your fish. There are hundreds of parasites embedded in your fish and floating in the water column looking for the next fish victim to eat. A wrasse is not going to help. Don't ever buy a wrasse for this reason. You know what's going to die? That wrasse will drop dead within a couple days from marine velvet.
The purple tangs were doing really bad too. They were like covered, but as you can see, they're doing a lot better.
Yeah, they're doing a lot better until it breaks out again. Once you have ick in your tank, you've always got ick in your tank unless you remove it properly. This crap pisses me off.
Yellow tangs.
People think that, oh, it's gone. No, it's not gone. They drop off your fish after a few days when they're done eating, and they swim through the water column, embed in the sand, and multiply like bastards. All right? Then they launch, waiting for the next fish to eat. It's ridiculously crazy, and they multiply at an alarming rate. The reason why you think you don't have ick in your tank anymore is because they're just waiting for the next wave of attack on your fish. You're not going to see it again until it happens.
So I came across an issue. My clownfish caught ick. I was kind of expecting something like this to happen because new tanks never go as planned. That is never, ever, ever the case.
So here's what you do. You get this fish out of the tank, you put him in a separate tank, and you dose him with copper, which I recommend 50% copper because 100% copper is just too close to toxic levels. Copper is like radiation treatment for fish with cancer. It'll kill them fast, and there's no going back. It attacks their nervous system. That's why I recommend 50%, and it works every time. Put a new fish in quarantine tank for 50% copper for 3 weeks, then put him in your new tank. If you don't, you're playing Russian roulette. This guy needs to get this fish and all fish out of the tank right now, because if he doesn't, they're all going to get it. Well, it doesn't matter. They're going to get it anyway. Once your tank is contaminated, you're done. All fish are going to get it. You just don't take the one fish out that's infected, and then he's better and you put him back. You're just putting him back into the cesspool of ick. You got to get all the fish out, which kills the food source for the ick, so they starve. For 6 weeks, this has to be done, minimum. 8 weeks preferable. Then you put him in and you're fine. You won't have ick ever again. That's the secret, kids.
But yeah, he caught it. I don't know how he got it. As far as I'm concerned, all my parameters were definitely in check.
Parameters have nothing to do with it.
The tank needs a little bit of cleaning, I won't lie. Maybe I might have a little bit of nitrate going.
That has nothing to do with it.
I haven't been overfeeding him. You know, I feed him once a day as usual, but I don't even feed him that much. But this is okay. I'm not freaking out about this.
Well, you should, because your whole tank is
infected. There's a remedy
infected.
that's been going around the internet for a long time now.
Let's see what it is.
And this also works for freshwater, for any freshwater folks that are working right now.
Can't wait.
And the answer is ginger. Ginger always works. It seemed to work in a lot of things,
works,
and
everybody.
if it's safe for me to eat, you know, usually I wouldn't say, oh, then it must be.
You hear what he said? If it's safe for me to eat, it's fine for the fish. When this guy's being eaten alive by a frickin' zombie, I'm gonna throw him a plate of spaghetti with extra garlic. And then we're gonna see how well that saves him from the zombies that are eating him flesh off the bone.
For fish to eat, or fish to eat, but ginger's a natural supplement. I mean, you can't go wrong with that stuff, and it's good for us, it's good for them.
So these people think by feeding them garlic and ginger, it's going to boost their immunity, and they're going to be stronger and they can fight off ick. Come on, you guys. God. You're not gonna fight off a flesh-eating parasite with garlic. I could see if the garlic kills the parasite, fine. It doesn't, though.
Taylor, why does your tank look like an actual disaster?
Oh God, this is gonna be a good one.
Because they tore it down.
Taylor, where are your fish?
Where is cheese?
He's in the...
Okay, guys, just for the record, this chick's got 1.2 million subscribers. We don't really know why. Wait a minute, look at her face. Maybe it's because she's attractive to some people. She is, but not to me. But anyway, it doesn't matter. Yeah, 1 million subscribers, and they're all listening to her. Let's hear what she has to say about curing ick.
Probably gonna click away from the video now. But if you want to watch... There's a fly in the room. If you want to watch what happened, stay tuned. Fish get sick. It's a thing that happens, and cowfish especially. If you literally Google the word cowfish, pictures that come up of them in the wild in aquariums, full grown, little bitty, there's pictures of them that have these little white specks on their fins, sometimes on their body. Those little white dots you see on fish sometimes, that's called ick. Ick is a parasite.
You guys are gonna
love
how
it gets on the fish's skin, and it lives off of these fish. And it eventually, if you don't cure it, will kill the fish. Most of the time you will see ick on a fish when their immune system is lowered, because when a fish is stressed, their immune system is lowered, their slime coat is compromised, and then the ick just latches on. Now you...
Nope. The ick will latch on and bore through that slime coat. It might take them a little longer, but they're getting through it. It doesn't matter how thick or thin or how stressed they are.
See, cowfish get ick so often sometimes that a lot of people will recommend just not treating them at all. That most of the time they will just fight it off on their own. Now you see, when I first...
They'll just fight it off on their own. Oh, they'll be fine.
If there's one thing I've ever learned from fish, the worst thing you can do is act impulsively and try to act so quickly that you don't evaluate the whole situation. Treating them too quick, acting too quick, and doing things all spastically.
Alright, so she goes on and on and on and on, as usual, about acting too quick and being proactive and just relax. No, you have to act fast. Now I have a separate quarantine tank for corals only, because you cannot use copper on inverts or coral. It will kill them instantly, okay? Keep in mind, write that down, it's good stuff. That's why I've got one quarantine tank for new fish with copper only. I've got a second quarantine tank for corals and inverts, snails, crabs, blah, blah, blah. All right? No copper in the second one for the inverts, snails, crabs, starfish, all those guys. Just salt water for 3 weeks. Because if there's no fish in the tank, it will die. Okay? Is this confusing? Just watch the video again and you'll understand. So that's that. Helpful? I hope so. In showing you what not to do. Oh my God. So she goes on and on and on and on and on about look, what I did, I took like 3 Home Depot 5-gallon buckets on a tarp in front of the fish tank. I pulled all my rock out. I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to whine about it or cry about it. I just put the rocks in for 5 minutes, took all my fish out with a big net, putting them all in a 5-gallon bucket from the water, from the 125-gallon saltwater aquarium, and then I put them in the quarantine tank with 50% copper solution. Can you use the same water from your tank if it's ick-ridden? Yeah, you can, because they're all going to die anyway. Keep them in there for 6 weeks, minimum to 8 weeks, and you're cool. The important thing to remember is you've got to do a 50% water change every other day, because the ammonia from the fish pee in the quarantine tank will kill your fish. So what I do is I usually keep, you know, a very porous sponge or something in my sump. I don't do it anymore, but when I was battling ick and being on the lookout for more ick, I would keep a good-sized sponge in my sump so the bacteria can grow on it, in case I needed to throw it in the quarantine tank, because bacteria devours the ammonia, so I only had to do a water change once a week then, instead of every other day. Another helpful tip to remember in your quarantine tank, kids, is that fish, you want to have like a 1.024 salinity level, or 1.026, which is the ocean level of salinity, which is the measure of salt. But quarantine, you can go down to 1.018. The fish will love it, and you won't use as much salt, and there's more oxygen in the water because you're using a little less salt. So it's a win-win for your fish. They breathe easier, they'll be healthier, you'll use less salt. All right. By the way, if you do have a porous sponge or something that you put in your sump, in case you need some biological filtration in your quarantine tank, you can never put that back in your main tank again, because it's going to be, or a rock or anything that you use, because it's going to be filled with copper, and then you're going to kill your inverts and your coral if you put that back in your tank. Just buy a new sponge, even a car washing sponge, anything, it's cheap, okay? People will say, well, you can rinse it out with you know, fresh water, it'll be fine. After I'm not going to, I wouldn't chance it. Maybe they're right, but I'm not going to chance it. When you use equipment on your quarantine tank that is filled with fish that has ick in it, never use the same equipment on your display tank. Buy 2 sets of gear. I know it's ridiculous, but you're going to have to spend a little money, just like an extra net, maybe a power head and a heater. Don't take the heater, if you have an additional one, out of your display tank and put it in the quarantine and then put it back. You can never use again anything that's been in your quarantine tank that had copper in it, okay? All right. Second, what I do, the equipment that I use, such as a 5-gallon empty jug to make salt water for the quarantine tank, I take a Sharpie and I write on it, bad, all over the 5-gallon quarantine when I do a water change. That way I know to never use that 5-gallon jug when I am doing a water change on my display tank, because you don't want to introduce ick back into that tank, okay? Now that you have all your fish out of the display tank for a minimum of 6 weeks, the parasites will be swimming around looking for food, fish only, that's all they eat, and they'll starve to death, and they drop dead. There's nothing that you can buy to kill the parasites. People say UV sterilizers work, but not all the parasites will go through it, and it only takes one to start the process again and bury itself in the egg in the sand and launch 500 new little parasite babies. They will find your fish and they will kill them, and they will multiply and breed until all your fish are dead. Same thing with marine velvet. Third, what I like to do with the equipment that I use in my quarantine tanks, I'll take a 5-gallon Home Depot bucket and I'll go outside and I'll just fill it with the garden hose with fresh water to the top. Then I'll put the equipment in there that I used, submerged completely. A pump, hoses, a net, pure water, because it cannot survive in pure water, fresh water. It will literally pop. It implodes. 24 hours of soaking the gear in there is fine, but I usually leave it in there a few days to a week. Why not? Use copper at 50% strength. It's more than enough, because when you do a water change, you've got to put a little copper in, and it's hard to remember how much copper you did put in. So it's easy to kill your fish. So 50% is good enough. People say to test the copper levels in the water There are copper test kits. The one by Seachem, whatever, is the best. However, it's impossible to tell. The shades of blue are so close, you just cannot tell. That's why I just dose 50% and I'm done with it. Don't waste your money on anything the Reef store says unless it's things that I'm telling you here now. Don't buy garlic to entice your fish to eat because people think that the garlic will make them stronger, it'll build their immunity. I don't care if you've got the biggest, best, healthiest Arnold Schwarzenegger, John Cena fish. Those piranha parasites are going to chomp right through its body, lay eggs, eat it out from the inside out, and leave and completely keep on multiplying, okay? Get yourself an ammonia badge by Seachem. It's great. You don't have to mess with water testing and all that and looking at colors. An ammonia badge is a suction cup, little tiny badge with a color chart on it. And the water is red on this badge. And the badge will change colors and it lets you know right on the badge how dangerous the ammonia level is. I highly recommend this when you're cycling a tank or in your quarantine tank because ammonia, you'd be surprised at how fast that rises in a quarantine. Within a day, it'll be at dangerous levels, and within 2 days, your fish can die because ammonia is toxic. They'll suffocate from their own poison, toxin, urine, okay? Look, everybody, I bought some garlic. Oh, my God. And the thing that bothers me the most is that Taylor chick's got like 1 million subscribers. I can't even talk. Can't talk about it. Spread this damn video around and spread the knowledge. Spread the awareness. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being my subscribers. You guys are the best subscribers ever. And I'm not just saying that. I really, really mean it. Check out all the links in the video description below. And I'll see you guys next time. All right? Have a great weekend. All right? I'll see you guys later. Have a great weekend.